Cleopatra was 75% Greek and Middle Eastern.
There's no evidence that she was black.
What's strange about the docudrama is that they've decided to cast a black woman as Cleopatra.
No.
Because I'm Foxy Cleopatra, and I'm a whole lot of woman.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
Well, your grandmother lied to you. And Netflix just came out of the closet as racist. Their new series, Queen Cleopatra, joins Bud Light beer in being hated by everyone. And now the backlash to executive producer Jada Pinkett Smith's blackwash of history is massive. I've never seen anything like it before. Even IMDB relabeled the series as fictionalized Netflix story. You know, that's a bad name to have for a documentary that's supposed to be based on facts. You got Egyptians suing, Greeks calling up the 300 Spartans, and we're going to take the limp streaming giant to the woodshed. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope all you had an incredible week, my friends. Before we take Netflix to task, I'm going to ask you, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, push the notification bell, share this with everyone. And I want you to leave your thoughts. What do you think about Hollywood using identity politics like Netflix is doing with Cleopatra? You think that adds something to the culture, or does it poison us? Let me know and join the conversation. Also, pay attention. Through every one of our videos, we always drop little Easter eggs here and there, and sometimes after credit scenes. So Netflix is playing Russian roulette with their stockholders' money. And once again, they race swapped another legendary historical figure.
Those idiots, they did it again.
They cast black English actress Adele James to play the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra. And here they really kicked a hornet's nest. I don't think they saw the protests that were going to come, because they tried to force the Macedonian Greek ruler into a quota box just to score some woke-tardy points with Tinseltown. And you know what? Their director, Gharavi, didn't do any favors to the studio. Queen Cleopatra director speaks out. What bothers you so much about a black Cleopatra? You know, I could ask you the same thing, Tina. What bothers you about a Greek one? You don't like history? Or are you just jealous? Is that what it is? You're a little bit jealous of the Greeks. No problem. I understand. But I'm going to do you a favor now. See, before you put the other foot in the mouth, I think you should brush up on your research about the Queen of the Nile and her ancestors. Black or white, ancient Egyptian race mystery now solved. A study describes how researchers conducted the first successful DNA sequencing on ancient Egyptian mummies. I bet you didn't see that one coming, Tina, did you?
No, I didn't know that.
But it's right. You're wrong. What happened is the Cleopatra that you're now promoting is not only a historical farce, but an out-and-out lie. You're actually selling snake oil to blue-haired activists and hashtag heroes on Twitter who need to feel good anytime mommy doesn't bring them a warm bottle of milk in the basement. Because a year ago, scientists brought together the genetic receipts. The problem, it was thought, is that mummy DNA couldn't be sequenced, but a group of international researchers using unique methods have overcome the barriers to do just that. They found that ancient Egyptians were most closely related to the peoples of the Near East, particularly from the Levant. This is the Eastern Mediterranean, which today includes the countries of Turkey, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. The research, when you dig into it, actually proves that Egyptians were of lighter skin tone than they are today. They had an olive complexion.
I didn't see that one coming.
And as for Netflix, here's a quick tip. Stop insulting your fans. Don't follow in AMC's footsteps. I mean, they used to bring us like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Now they've doubled down on their troubles. They decided they were going to race swap Henry VIII's doomed wife, Anne Boleyn, with Jodie Turner. That's not a recipe for success. That's like following in the BBC's footsteps, like they race swapped Achilles, but the BBC can do that all day long because they're funded by the state, so they can fail.
We need to liberate our imaginations and boldly create a world in which we can explore our historical figures without fearing the complexity that comes with their depiction. I am proud to stand with Queen Cleopatra, a reimagined Cleopatra, and with the team that made this.
Facts don't matter. History doesn't matter. Everyone can be anyone. But the truth is, in Hollywood, that black actors can play any character they want. Any character. But any black character can only be played by a black actor. That is how you know it's wrong. So what Netflix and Gharavi are doing right now is actually loathsome, because they're trying to rebrand racism under the banner of representation and pull the wool over your eyes. And unfortunately, they're not alone.
We don't often get to see or hear stories about black queens, and that was really important for me, as well as for my daughter, and just for my community to be able to know those stories.
You know what? Hollywood never elevates the people they use as political pawns. They just don't.
That's just the way things work.
And Jada Pinkett Smith is exactly part of the problem. She's one of those people who finds it fashionable to play the culture warrior and use communities to exploit. Otherwise, you got to ask yourself, how come she didn't bring to life, the Empress of Ethiopia? She has the resources and the ability, but no, instead, she's pawning herself off as an Egyptologist, promoting her version of Cleopatra while she poisons the rest of the culture in the world.
That's a nasty woman right there.
No problem. We're going to have a quick refresher so we get to know Cleo just a little bit more at the same time that we put the poster girl for arrogant ignorance in her place. So it all started with Alexander the Great. He was born of Macedonian Greek descent. He conquered the entire known world at the time. Then he conquered Egypt. He freed its people from the oppression of the Persians and died in 323 BC. All of his generals went into a civil war because they tried to carve up the empire. Well, you had Ptolemy the First Soter. He took over Egypt. And about 300 years later in the Ptolemy dynasty, pop comes Cleopatra after a lot of, naughty marriages and incest. That's it. Those are the facts. Cleopatra's Greekness was expressed in her daily speech. She was the first Ptolemaic ruler of Egypt to take the trouble to learn Egyptian, but she had several other languages at her fingertips, and Alexandria, not one of the ancient Egyptian cities, was her capital. The Alexandrians saw themselves as part of the wider cultural world of Hellenic Greece. Even the Jews read the Torah aloud in Greek in their synagogues, one of which was constructed for them by Cleopatra. Between history, between the sciences, art, sculpture, coins, even a portrait from the 1st century that shows Cleopatra with red hair and Greek features. What else do you need? Hollywood, what they're showing is just wishful thinking. The best depiction of Cleopatra I have ever seen in my life was in HBO's series Rome. I mean, they did a bang-up job, spot on. Now, that was before the post-truth era, before when history and facts mattered, before political truth tainted everything. And you know what? There's one man who's had enough of the lies. In the lawsuit filed in Egypt by attorney Mahmoud al-Samari, Newsweek reports that the streaming service is accused of erasing the Egyptian identity. And he has asked the court to take legal action against Netflix, including blocking the streaming service in Egypt. Approximately 100,000 people have a Netflix subscription in Egypt. He's absolutely right. Enough is enough. Netflix right now is the tip of the spear representing everything that is wrong in the post-truth era. They use lies as daggers to stab the objective truth 1,000 times till it bleeds out on the concrete. And then you got Hollywood who walks up alongside of them, mopping it all up so not a lot of people notice it. Because what they really want is to manage the careful destruction of Western society. To do that, they need to mold a new population of Muppets that are easily manipulated and controlled by their feelings. And you know what? Only you control your life. Now, if you enjoyed this video, if you found value in it, I ask you again, take a second, hit the subscribe button, push the notification bell, and remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Always forward.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
My grandmother taught me about self-pleasuring because she wanted me to know that that pleasure was from me.